It is a beautiful day in Iowa, and it's the perfect day to make my next review on this scooter. I've got 660 something miles on it. I could not be happier. In my opinion, it is equally as good as a VSETT 10 Plus, and since it is now confirmed to come from the same company as VSETT, that upgrades this scooter to me to the easiest buy recommendation I've ever made, to be honest with you. VSETT is far and away one of my favorite brands, not only because of performance, but because of value. They also handle any recall situations with some of the most professionalism that I've ever seen from any scooter company. Whereas a lot of other brands these days, including Nami, are undergoing some major issues. Mukuta is the next evolution of VSETT. I will link the press release here. You can read it yourself. Made an official press release about this relationship and connection between these scooters. I know in my last video I'd mentioned that I thought there was a connection, but I actually knew, I just wasn't allowed to tell you yet. I'm going to mention some points about this scooter that differentiate it from the VSETT 10 Plus, because obviously now that we know they're the same manufacturer, we really should compare those two scooters. The most obvious difference is the suspension setup, which is now quad springs. This gives a little bit tighter suspension feedback. The only issue so far is that we still need to source upgraded shocks for this. I mentioned in the first video, the shocks are 125 millimeter in the back, 110 in the front, and the issue is going to be the diameter of the shock. You can almost see from this angle pretty well that it's just a very tight fit around where the shock is and the swing arm. So that will be an experiment for future people, maybe myself included, we'll see. I'm not totally unhappy with these shocks enough to do all that work just to upgrade the shocks a bit, because they're great anyways how it is. I don't particularly think that's a needed upgrade on this scooter, but I know some people will complain about it because for whatever reason they need it. And I get that. I get some people really, really want the best suspension possible. And I think what VSETT's doing here is just experimenting with other designs. Obviously, this is a similar design to the Apollo Phantom that I reviewed about 2 years ago now. And when that came out, though, that suspension to me felt very soft. And so this one, I don't know if it has stronger springs in it, or if it's slightly different angles of them, or what exactly is different with it, but it does seem to have a lot stronger shocks to the point where it's just a firmer ride, and you're not bottoming out the shocks as much as you were, hardly ever actually. I just did yesterday for the first time off a big curb, just to see if I could, but really you have to almost do it on purpose to bottom out on this. We can also confirm that this scooter now has sine wave controllers. Turn my music off. And they're 32 amp, and I so happen to have access to a VSETT 10 Plus, which is 35 amp on boost, and I have a Mantis King GT now, which is 30 amp on boost, and so we ended up racing all three of these to see what is what. I also have two buddies that all weigh within 3 pounds of me, 180, 180, and 183, so let's take a look at the race. We did a few runs, and I think it was pretty conclusive, so let's check it out. Very close. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, look at that!
I got a switch in my head. I go from living to dead. You got me seeing all red. Now I'm becoming a threat. I fucking heard what you said. I'll make you have some regrets.
3,
no, I never forget.
2,
so now you have a few
1,
debts.
go.
That shit, it needs to be paid with blood or some sort of pain. You caused a permanent stain, which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear.
So as you can see, this might be a hair slower than the VSETT. I also think that might have been user error. I was braking a little early, but we'll give Rob the wins. What does that mean? That this is a little bit slower than the VSETT. Why would it be better for some people still? Is it's always in that mode, the boost mode, right? Whereas the VSETT 10 Plus only gets that for 2 minutes, then has to cool off for 5 minutes. So I'm at 600 miles, haven't had any controller issues yet, but it's hard to know on these scooters because I haven't run it in the summer yet. I haven't run it in high heat, right? And so it will get more stressed in the next few months here, and we'll see if it holds up. So I did have one issue here where this light was vibrating with the stock tires. It was really annoying. When I put these tires on, it went away completely. But I do think one of the screws is screwed up over here. Well, it is screwed up, I should say. And the plastic is a little broke. And if I got a new one of these pieces, it should fix it, I think. I think it was just over tightened a little bit by the factory or something broke, but that should be an easy fix for me if I reached out. I just don't care that much at this point because it's not rattling anymore. And honestly, the PMT tires are the single best upgrade you're going to put on this scooter. Highly recommend them. If you're in the US, grab them from Wired Rides. Those things basically turn this into the plushest ride. I'm going to throw up a screenshot Wired Ride posted, but the PMT tires themselves now have been confirmed by some users to have lasted up to 7,000 plus miles. So when you add that in to the fact that it lasts way longer than the stock tires, the additional cost of them honestly makes complete sense. Even if they cost double what the stock tires cost, but they last 3 times as long, it's a no-brainer to buy PMTs every time. You change the tires less, you pay less money, you get a better ride. If you don't buy PMT tires for your scooter at this point, it's just stupid. You're literally paying more for stock tires per mile. What other upgrades have I done in the last 600 miles here that I think you're going to need to do? Solid handlebars. These are just old ones from my 010X. Nothing too special there. Honestly, I put a mirror on that came with the VSETT. This is great for checking if there's cops behind you at a stop sign without having to look, but other than that, it's pretty much worthless. I'm not gonna lie. While you're riding, you're not gonna look at this. You just look over your shoulder. It's way quicker and better, way better view. Mirrors, I think, are gonna be like a novelty item for scooters that really come and go. I don't think they're necessary at all. Obviously, bought a ducky for this guy. He's just gonna come for all the rides. He's balling. Everything else performing flawlessly on this scooter. Couldn't ask for better. It has a very nice feeling stem. Very solid. Battery distance is perfectly fine. I haven't any issues. I know Yogi Steve came out with the video trash talking this scooter. So I do need to respond to that maybe for a little bit.
As I turned out of Chick-fil-A, the scooter turned off and I can't figure out what the fuck is wrong with it.
I think what happened to him is he's had a low battery, have a heavy load, maybe you have some food, you know, you're delivering.
I'm really trying to pull this off so I don't have to carry the backpack and wear the helmet.
And you go up a hill or something.
Most of it's uphill. So yeah, this sucks.
And then it's hot.
It got suddenly warm out.
You can easily create what's called a voltage sag that will take it down to the cutoff point. This is just basically a battery protection that cuts the scooter off because it thinks that you're draining the battery too much. This is common on every scooter. I don't know why Yogi Steve doesn't know about this, but when you plug the scooter back into a charger, it automatically resets the BMS and then you're back on the road. Say you don't have a charger and you have a tool and you're on the side of the road. You could take the deck off, unplug the battery from the controller, that will reset it too. Plug it back in, boom, reset your scooter. So Yogi Steve, I think, is maybe just a little ignorant on scooters really and how to fix them. He's more of a DoorDash guy, and I get that, but he shouldn't come out trash talking the scooter just because he's uneducated. That's not fair to the brand, and it's definitely not fair to, you know, all of his viewers that expect him to know what he's talking about. So anyways, Yogi Steve, what's up, man?
Oh, fuck this scooter. Buy a VSETT. Don't buy a fucking Mukuta.
I hope you do some more research next time before you post any videos like that. That's kind of embarrassing for you, to be honest.
I don't want to talk shit about the company, but this is basically, in my mind, a VSETT 10 Plus knockoff. A VSETT 10 Plus knockoff that you should not buy.
Steve, come here. Come here. I gotta tell you something. Guess what, Steve? It's the same company.